We are here, the most famous words about a most famous man, the Marquis de Lafayette. Thank you, Marla Joy, for putting us back to place, time, and on topic. It's America in the late 1770s, and the topic is statesmanship. The Marquis de Lafayette, the man and his legend. Our champion of liberty was not only an accomplished soldier in general, but also a most noble statesman. The Marquis de Lafayette's effective and passionate legislative skills proved to be highly effective and a cornerstone of our democracy. He accomplished much during his year. Let me share his accomplishments. Part one, a noble statesman. Lafayette first displayed his legislative credentials as an intelligent leader while helping to draw French resources to the colonial side during the Revolutionary War. This happened as Lafayette stayed with Washington enduring the dreadful hardships of Valley Forge, suffering along with the other Continental soldiers in the frigid, disease-ridden encampment as they were poorly supplied and underfed as they regrouped for the following spring's offensive against the British. Now, keep in mind, those were desperate times. The British were warm, well-fed, and well-stocked in their wintering months in occupied Philadelphia. The new American Congress had little funds and little resources of the war, and time was quickly running out. In the middle of the war, with Washington and Ben Franklin's encouragement, Lafayette sailed home to lobby for increased French support. With his legislative skills and Ben Franklin's support, Lafayette was successful in getting those supplies and, most importantly, a naval force that later played a crucial role in our decisive victory at Yorktown. He got France to finance our bill for the war against England when it was most desperately needed. Part two, a noble statesman, human rights. The Marquis de Lafayette had a quest to bring democracy to America and France. In 1780, Lafayette returned to France. When the French Revolution broke out in 1789, it was Lafayette, as an elected member of the Estates General, who penned the initial draft of the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen. Inspired by the ideals of the American Revolution, the Marquis penned one of history's most important documents about human and civil rights, with the help of Thomas Jefferson. The document invoked natural law to establish the basic principles of a democratic natural state, the birth of their democracy. In keeping with the philosophy of natural rights, he advocated for the end of slavery in this document. The National Assembly adopted the Declaration on August 27, 1789, and it remains part of France's present-day constitution. He developed the first constitution in America and France, and he introduced anti-slavery into France's constitution. Part three, a noble statesman, the healer that unites us. You should know that President Monroe in the U.S. Congress passionately requested the Marquis de Lafayette come to America for his victory lap as a guest of the nation. It was to celebrate and build some much-needed nationalism for America that was badly divided at that time in 1824. The cause of that division? As a new nation was coming together, it was the first time in American history that the man ultimately elected president actually lost the popular vote. The corrupt bargain, it was called. Quoted runner-up Andrew Jackson, "Was there ever witnessed such a barefaced corruption in any country before?" Lafayette stayed in Washington City for the winter of 24-25 and thus was there for the climax of that highly contested 1825 election, which no presidential candidate was able to secure a majority of the Electoral College, throwing the decision to the House of Representatives. On February in 1825, the House of Representatives selected Secretary of State John Quincy Adams as the sixth president of the United States. That evening, runner-up Andrew Jackson shook hands with Adams at the White House as Lafayette looked on. This is very important. A peaceful transfer of power is a cornerstone to American Constitution. A statement's transfer of power with no insurrection. On January 6, 2021, at the insurrection of our capital, it might appear that we could have used a little bit of Lafayette's statesman diplomacy in today's transfer of power. The Marquis de Lafayette is important in today's America as he was in 1825. For his legislative involvement in America and Europe, Lafayette will be remembered for his highly statesmanship accomplishments. He will be regarded as the noble statesman. I will close with a fun fact. Lafayette returned to France to aid and abet his French people in their own revolution. While doing so, the Marquis de Lafayette designed the red, white, and blue flag of France, the same flag which is still used today. Viva Lafayette! I am proud to say I am from Lafayette, Colorado. On behalf of our community, I am proud to proclaim Lafayette. We are here. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up we have Frank Archuleta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm here this evening to speak about the cemetery. Been working on this project for over 2 years here now, and staff, we gave directions for them to work on a plaque up there. This has been a crime against humanity, a painful chapter in the Lafayette history, and a plaque with all the lost, unknown, and now the known names of all the people who represent justice. Today, we are working to educate and to commemorate and to heal. Memorials are shaped by politics, contemporary concerns inflict, how history is recalled. Public commemoration is a way to conserve unity from decisiveness. As we engage in the process of memorialization, we must not forget the past and now known the forgotten infants, children, women, and men who are buried in Potter's Field in the Lafayette Cemetery. We must recognize and honor them with a historical plaque with all their names on the plaque. We must also tell the story how the town and city of Lafayette did not record them due to negligent record keeping by the town clerks, Henry Mathias and other clerks. This was a conspiracy by the town of Lafayette, the white supremacists, and the Ku Klux Klan to segregate the Catholics, the Latinos, and immigrants and non-Protestant individuals into the Potter's Field here. The people of Lafayette recognized this discrimination practice and the loss of 194 unknown but are now known. We are committed to remembering the mistakes of our Lafayette history so that we will not repeat them. By the act of remembering, no matter how painful, will strengthen the foundation upon now which the city can move forward. Erasing of history here. I will make myself clear and to promote the truth and political correctness. With my conviction for social change, I ask council with my passionate plea for reparation and restorative justice as we acknowledge the wrongs and take actions to heal the pain of the past. From 1901 to 1952, this transpired. They didn't put the names in the database of the Latinos and Catholics. There were 194 that were not in the database. During that time, clerks, Henry Mathias, Lenny Mess, and Fred Audrey did not record them. 194 names were not recorded in the database. Other people have come forward and want to know where their families were buried. And the city did not keep tracking because of racism, discrimination, and segregation. It's a shame, folks. Any person who would be buried in the Lafayette Cemetery must have a city permit to do so. This permit was issued by the town or city clerks. So this tells us that the town clerks knew who was to be buried, but did not record them according to the law, and this is in violation. The forgotten infants, children, women, men, with the research of Doug Conroe, myself, and David Somano, we have found 194 names. We must give the forgotten ones the respect, the dignity, and the justice and peace they deserve. Council, be on the right side of history and do not let the wrongs triumph over the rights here. A pioneering political and intellectual history of the Latinos, Catholics, and non-Protestants who were segregated in the Lafayette Cemetery and were forgotten, but are now known. Although Latino history possesses its particular characteristics and it should be appreciated, it should also be interpreted as a part of a larger history and the struggle of the Latinos of Lafayette. We must understand these profound ethnic and demographic changes and to seek to learn from history. What they all mean in a new ethnic era of the United States. In order to benefit from the history of Lafayette Cemetery, we must approach this history with the understanding and the complexity of racism, discrimination, and segregation, and the negligent record keeping to erase the history and not to record into the city database by city town and town clerks. We have found 194. We have worked with the Archdiocese, the Catholic Church, other families have come forward. We have the newspaper clippings that state they were buried there, but the town clerks did not record them. At that time, folks, this was racist and discrimination what went on. This town was full of it. It was full of it. Different racist discrimination.
know what this fucker and all these other people aren't saying is how ugly this town has gotten. This is the first time I really watched one of our city councils. I didn't know we were this wacky job over here. And it's just weird. So weird.
To staff to move forward. I gave you all the information, and I also gave Rachel Hansen to Melissa. You have the information. We work with the Historical Society. It is time, folks, to move forward.
Damn it,
Let's take
Carl.
care of this problem so we can move forward. Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Yes.
No.
Thank you.
Next time, you know.
All right, next up we have Jessica Piccolo. Piccolo?
This guy's a cut.
Hi again, folks. I'm Jessica Piccolo. I live Shoshone Trail in Indian Peaks, and I am here again to talk about the ongoing safety concerns at Baseline Avenue in Indian Peaks. Last council meeting, I was here to update you all on the neighborhood activities and organizations.
All right, Carl,
And I also want to acknowledge that since that time, the mayor has reached out, and unfortunately our schedules did not connect. I was traveling for work and you had parent-teacher conferences, but I do look forward to having the opportunity to chat. Since that last update, our neighborhood advocacy group has continued to meet with experts and advocates on mitigation issues that can be taken to increase safety along Baseline Avenue. We are working to maintain the crosswalks and call in incidents as we see them and continue to do so weekly. We have had a group of us a training with local Lafayette police on radar guns and how to use them as a way to help mitigate driver behavior in the area. And so that's all good and ongoing. And I thought that the council should know that that was here, but that's not why I'm here today. I am here today to give you an update on the children involved in the accident, and in particular, a statement from Lisbeth Hall, who's one of the parents of one of the students. Myers Graham is a student at Centaurus, and he remains hospitalized, recovering from a traumatic brain injury. This will be a long process. We anticipate to have more updates for the council on his status and how his family is doing, likely by the next meeting. Lisbeth Hall is Bree's mother. Bree was the girl who was hit on September 5th, and the student who I attended to. She was not able to be here today, but wanted to make sure that the council could hear from her in some way. So this is Lisbeth's statement. She lives on Blue Lake Trail. My daughter, Bree, was hit by a car in a lit crosswalk on September 5th. I still don't have the words to describe the horror of hearing from the paramedics your daughter was hit by a car, or seeing what an SUV does to a child's body at 45 miles an hour. I'm a physician trained at Level 1 Trauma Center and have seen all measure of horrors. So is Bree's father. Nothing compares to seeing blood pouring out of your own child as she is thrashed in pain in the emergency room. The outward circles of trauma caused by this incident are hard to overstate. Bree's 15-year-old brother had to see her in the emergency room in the ICU and had to watch her being loaded into a helicopter and flown by Flight for Life to Children's Hospital. Then the next day, it happened again to a friend he has known since kindergarten, Myers Graham. My child, our family, and our community have been impacted profoundly. Bree would have died if not for life-saving care on the helicopter flight and at Children's Hospital. Bree's injuries include bleeding in her brain, lacerations in her liver, and severe right kidney damage, 3 pelvic fractures, a fracture near her right knee, and extensive skin injuries from hitting the asphalt after impact. She's had multiple CT scans and ultrasounds, a procedure to treat her kidney injury, and at least one more procedure in the future. She will have permanent physical damage from this incident that will impact her for the rest of her life, not to mention the psychological damage. I'll say it again, this trauma is permanent. Bree is a bright 7th grader with a vibrant personality. She did nothing wrong and is fully capable of crossing the street on her own. She carefully presses the flashing light button and looks both ways before she enters a crosswalk, and did so on the day of the accident. We as adults are failing children like her and Myers, Graham, if they cannot safely cross the street by themselves. I'm shocked to hear the city of Lafayette say they can't afford to implement additional safety measures. I don't understand how they can afford not to. So that's from Lizbeth. She wanted to make sure that that was presented to you folks. Thank you for your time and continued attention.
Of course, thank you. All right, next up is Kristen Zangrilli. And once again, please correct me if I mispronounce your name.
Close enough. Kristen Zangrilli, Lafayette, Indian Peaks Trail West. Good evening, Mayor and Council. On the afternoon of September 5th, after dropping one of my children off at an after-school activity in Lafayette, I drove by the accident shortly after it happened as I returned to our neighborhood of Indian Peaks West. I've seen accidents outside of the entrance to our neighborhood on King Street before, but I remember thinking to myself, by the level of activity here, something isn't right. This one is bad. Fast forward a few minutes to a few minutes ahead from a text from a neighbor asking me if I had heard that a child had been killed crossing baseline at King Street after getting off the RTD on her way back from school. My heart sunk to the pit of my stomach for a few obvious reasons. A child commuting back from school. Having lived in our neighborhood for 3 years now, I know how horribly scary it is to cross the stretch of Baseline Road. But now a child may have been killed. My next thought is to my daughter's good friend who rides the RTD home from Platt Middle School from time to time, and my head started to spin. I asked my daughter some questions to try to figure out if it was indeed her friend by the description of what the child was wearing, what their backpack looked like, etc., and she grew curious and asked why. I tried to avoid answering, but she grew suspicious, and I had to tell her that had been a tragic accident. My daughter was convinced it was her friend and began to panic uncontrollably. It was a rough couple of hours until we had heard it was not her close friend, but our relief was brief. It may not have been my daughter's friend, but a child was tragically hit in a horrendous crash and was fighting for her life. To say that my kiddos did not want to take the bus to school the next morning is an understatement. We recently moved from the New York City area, Hoboken, New Jersey to be exact, and while they have never had to take a school bus or public transportation to school, they know to be very cautious of busy streets and reckless drivers. Hoboken recently went through its own Vision Zero project. We know just how broken many of the roads around the country are and how they no longer work for pedestrians and cyclists. We had a long discussion about what had happened, how important it is to be extremely cautious while crossing roads of all types, and how unbelievably tragic the crash was. And that, as incredibly heartbreaking as this accident was, I tried to reassure them that something like this does not happen every day and not to worry. Fast forward to less than 18 hours later, I'm walking my children to the bus stop in our neighborhood. There's anxiety and trepidation, but we talked about the feelings and how it was going to be a good day. As I was about to kiss them goodbye, we heard sirens. A wave of panic washed over the face of my 14-year-old, but I reassured her she was safe, and I gave them one last hug before they walked off to the bus. Less than 5 minutes later, I walk into our home, and my phone is blowing up with texts. It happened again. Another child has been hit on Baseline. How is this even possible? 2 children in less than 18 hours, trying to get either to or from school. I checked my email, and I have emails from both of my children. They had heard about what happened and who had been hit even before the bus left our neighborhood. The entire bus was in shock and in silent. They were greeted at school by trauma counselors who were scheduled to be on hand for children who had been impacted by the news of their classmate from the day before. Now the counselors had to help children navigate the reality of 2 horrific automobile pedestrian crashes. This stretch of Baseline Road off 95th Street is too fast. The lanes are too wide. The drivers completely ignore the flashing beacons. They might as well not even be there. It's a virtual drag race from 95th to the train tracks because no one wants to get stuck behind a slow driver. I've personally spoken with a BVSD school bus driver, the one for our neighborhood school, and he can attest to this very fact. He said people race him every single day because no one wants to get caught behind him as they know he must stop and open the door at the train tracks. Since you put up the radar speed signs, I've seen it for myself. I knew people were racing, but now I can see how fast they're going. I see speeds of 48, 52, 55 miles per hour and higher. No parent wants their kiddos to cross this road. Heck, I don't even like crossing Baseline, especially during rush hour, which is the exact time our kiddos who take their bikes, walk, or take RTD bus to school have to cross this road. My daughter is at an after-school activity at Platt as I speak, and their father's out of town. I contemplated for 2 seconds having her take the RTD home, but there is no way I wanted her to cross Baseline at this hour. Not going to happen. If, as you said in a previous meeting, you're still taking comments for Vision Zero project, even though the survey is closed, you must have enough comments by now to warrant a closer look and to realize that this stretch of baseline road needs to be included and a solution put in place as soon as possible. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to working with you to come up with a solution.
Thank you so much. Next up is Myra Crawford.
They really don't listen to you. They just sit there.
Hi,
You know.
it's Mariah Crawford.
Thank you.
Hopefully you won't get it right because we won't have to keep coming, would be my hope. I live at 429 Indian Peaks Trail West in Lafayette.
Yes, the
I
rich
spoke
side
to
of
you
town.
last meeting about Myers Graham and my daughter being right behind him. I was reluctant to speak again because
Well, I just wanted to show you some of this local stuff that's going on here. This is my city council. This is how big the room is. We have 30,000 people in this town. And that place there holds maybe 50, maybe 30 even. It metric motherfucker. Yeah, see, they've all complained, but they haven't come up with, they want the city to do something because the city, blah, blah, blah. This is my city council. I don't see why anybody would want to do the job anyway. It's really a horrible, fucking lazy. Blech. Blech. Oh, wow, she left early. See what's going on now.
But are there any other folks in person that wish to speak?
I could call and speak if I wanted to.
All right. I'm looking online as well, and I do not see any callers. So with that, we'll close public input and move forward with the consent agenda. This includes item A, October 1st, 2024 City Council meeting minutes.
Oh, no, we're not going to go through that. But that's my local. That was the mayor there. I happened to see it on and I said, ooh, I might as well rebroadcast it. Maybe give somebody, get somebody discussing and find somebody who's local or whatever. Everybody else is doing. Hold on. You're a stupid cat. That's what you are. Go. She's out there fighting with the other neighbor's cat. Yeah, it's wild. Man, you're right. They are. They just whine. They just whine and whine and whine. And that's why I don't. Because it's pointless to say anything to these people. They won't do anything. I told them a long time ago, a couple of years ago, that their presence online was shit. They still don't have anybody. They have 5 watching right now. Let me see. Oh, wow. The subscribers have actually gone up from, I think it was like 100 and something to 1,000. That's pretty good. I didn't know that. Well, I'm happy about that then. But still, I got 30,000 people in this town and only a handful show up and a handful watch online. Anyway. Hey, you. Bunch of people got it. Well, not a bunch. Couple of people got arrested in the A1 community there. They were trying to bail them out all morning. Keebler got arrested last night. I think she's already out. I'm pretty sure she's out. And Denver Metro was trying to get, what's his name? Mod Life. I believe that. Is it Mod? I think so. So, yeah, there's been a lot of arrests going on lately in the cop watching A1 community, as we knew. Oh, speaking of cop watch, last night we found out. Oh, right on. I don't have sock accounts anymore. I used to. Back in the glory days of the internet, I had sock accounts. I had 9,000 sock accounts because I needed them. I actually needed to have them to boot people offline and stuff like that. It's how the hacking worked back then. It was interesting. But I got out of that shit because that shit's scary. But yeah, last night, the crime we warned our HOA about coming here because of the rich people moving down here has started to trickle down to my area now. We're having mail stolen. Friend's motorcycle was stolen up the street. There's more mail going. Yeah, so yeah, my little comfort zone here is slowly being dragged in the mud because Rich came to town, you know. I don't want to. I mean, I could go down there and say something, but they're not going to listen. That's the whole thing. They're not going to fucking listen at all. And I wish they would. I wish they would listen. I wish you could tell them that what they did, what they chose, was wrong. But no, even if you tell them, they're not going to admit to it. They're not going to come up with a solution. They're not going to do anything. Oh, maybe some lights. We have one street light on my street. And it's right in front of my house. Man, we live in a trailer park. We ain't gonna add no. That shit'll just get ripped off the freaking wall, dude. You can't be putting up ring cameras here. If it was a normal house, yes. These aren't houses. And the way it's set up is the doors point one way, the mailbox out in front, you know. We need cameras, we need oh god, I don't even want to suggest fucking security. At one point they wanted to put gates up, but I was like, oh Jesus Christ. And I don't want to go to that freaking meeting. Well, you know, you had plenty. I saw you earlier. You didn't say shit. And you always have my email. Weirdo. All are welcome. All are welcome. Go into the light. Go into the light. You said don't go into the light. No. What was the daughter's name? I feel sorry for that kid. She died early in life. And yeah. Oh, anyway. Also, we got multiple tries at hacking our bank account lately. Had a check washed, from what I'm told. I don't know the whole details. So yeah, crime has come to roost in Colorado, even here. Yeah? Did they toss her to the ground too? What the fuck is going on, man? I mean, look, she's a decent person, you know. I don't know, man. Jesus. But can you rally this community around that? No. Because even then, they don't want to do shit. But sometimes that's one of the major issues I have with all that. You guys are connected. You can do connecting. Well, get connected. Yeah. I don't know her community page. If you happen to have it there, Snark. Oh, is that what was Jane was on about? Because I don't. Or was that his earlier? Well, then you go to her community, but I gotta show you shit. I'm not into showing that kind of stuff. Be respectful. Oh my God. I don't agree with her. Doesn't mean I don't freaking like her. It's just, yeah. Well, that fucking sucks, man. Oh, there you go. That's not her community page. Oh, that's on her Facebook. Well, it's her story. Let her tell it. Oh, that's just a little scratch. I do worse to myself just itching. Yeah, I seen it. Ain't much to it. I mean, it's just that. Oh, there's more. Okay. Okay. There we go. Hold on. Hold on, then. Give me a minute. Shoulder out of socket? There. See, this one ain't that bad, but you see that? I don't get that one. Now, that's fucked up. Not as bad as CFW, but still. Fuck, dude. Why people gotta be dumb, man? Why? Can you tell me? Why? I just don't get it. Only just today America gave Israel a strongly worded finger waggle. It's not nearly enough to what needs to be done and said. Why is it so fucking filled with stupid people? Stupid people everywhere. There's stupid people up there. There's stupid people down there. There's stupid people everywhere. Why? Why are there stupid? Why? You just want people to act right in the first place. But then you got family history, personal history, whether they've been bullied or not. There's so many things. Just you can't think straight. I think they should teach yoga. Everybody should learn yoga and smoke a lot of weed. Pump it into the system. Yeah, I better be careful. Asmongold got banned for talking about Israel and Palestine. Except he was ragging on Palestine. I came up with a new name for him, though. Ass mold. That's mine, trademark, motherfuckers. Want to go bed. That's just why people gotta be like that? Why do people gotta be violent? No fucking reason. Because we exist, and yet nobody calls them on it. I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear it say. So you're calling me a criminal then? You're actively saying that I, this person, am a criminal because you think so, without any proof whatsoever, without anybody coming up and saying anything to you. You come up to me and you think I'm a criminal because of what you think. That needs to be said to many, many peoples. Many peoples. Oh, come on, paywall. Not at all. See how many? Just one. Everybody left me. I'm all alone. Oh, he probably clicked on a link and got kicked out, huh? I mean, depending if he's to pop back in, that hurts. Shit. Wish her all the best. Hope she gets you quick. Well, say something, man. I try. What the fuck is it is because he wants to. Anyway. That's all I had. I see the councils get bored. Me. Oh, there's 7 watching now. I don't know what that's all about. We all have something wrong with us, doesn't make us wrong. Yeah. What the fuck does it do that for? What do I gotta dance like a fucking monkey? I ain't no fucking monkey. I don't dance, man. Damn. Strip pole. I don't think you want to see my bony ass wiggling. Whoops. Geigy cricket, I watched it. Oh God, that's the shit that needs to stop. Why not? What the fuck is up with Australia? It's on your government, dude. Tell your government to fuck off, eh? Bunch of hosers. Bunch of hosers. For disturbing the peace, huh? That's silly. I'm sure that, there are some governments out there that are really good.
I was working on a scare late one night, conjuring a scare for the moderate, monsters what they need to demonize. Luckily, I'm good at lies. They're eating cats. They're eating dogs and cats. Those dirty rats. A demagogic smash. A lie like that can take off in a flash. I got a knack. I call it Marga Mask. From the migratory flow of human beings came my master plan to vilify those fleeing. Make fools believe in a ignorance are foes, so I can blame them for all of our woes.
They're getting trashed.
It's called the MAGA Mash.
The MAGA Mash.
It's been a Fox News smash.
They make more cash.
With xenophobic trash.
They love to bash.
They love the MAGA Mash. The Romneys are surely done. Their party's been overrun. What's left is only MAGA, QAnon, and some scum. The scheme was working, hate and fear abound. Poor migrants shamed by racist clowns. Some knuckle draggers spew venomous lies about hopeful groups they can disenfranchise.
They're getting trashed.
It's called the MAGA Mash.
The MAGA Mash.
It made a Newsmax splash.
They made more cash.
They hope some throats get slashed.
It's all rehashed.
They do the MAGA Mash. Out from his coffin, Reagan's voice did ring. Seems he was pissed about many things. He opened the lid with all his will and said,
Whatever happened to my city on the hill? It's now been trashed.
it's now been MAGA Mash.
It's all for cash.
It's been a far-right smash.
I need a stash.
In case I got a dash,
Before I crash.
I'll do the MAGA Mash. Now I really screwed the Republican brand, and the GOP's about to be down. It's barely breathing and it's turning blue. When you get to hell's door, tell them MAGA sent you.
Then you can mash.
Then you can MAGA Mash.
You won't need cash.
It's a demonic smash.
Your budget slashed.
You'll catch on like a flash.
With soot and ash.
You'll do the MAGA Mash.
Wow. MAGA Mash. Wow. MAGA Mash. Wow. MAGA Mash. Wow. MAGA Mash. Wow. MAGA Mash. Wow. MAGA Mash. Wow. MAGA Mash. Wow.
I found that. That was neat. Germany's. If you must know. Uh,
$25,000 square foot building. This is a use by right development in the sense that we're not asking for any variances under 35 feet in height.
this is what needs
Proposed 64
stopping.
parking stalls, a little bit more than the required amount. We're proposing 2 entrances and exits, which I'll get into on the next slide. And we're in Group F as it pertains to electrification and EV parking and EV readiness. Again, we're on the east side of Horizon Avenue and the south side of the completed Horizon Court, which is currently, as Stephen mentioned, a dirt road that leads to the solar farm. And it's catty corner to Stem Cider.
No, thank you. Take your shit and go, please. But yeah, Germany. See, everybody left. They didn't like the song, or they got kicked off because YouTube sucks. Get that screwdriver out of my head.
You'd think
He
he'd
was
be
a pro
praising one of
wrestler. I
the
didn't know
leading
that.
civil rights activists of the time.
Thought he was
But
just
you're
another.
smart enough to know that would never happen on this network called Fox News.
He's the one guy you can look at his track record. And when it comes to race, you could not say one bad thing about him. And from the bottom of my heart, we're saying that about him.
Yeah.
So who was Tyrus so vehemently defending here?
It is, you got Airbus and you got Boeing, and it really hurts Americans' defense. It hurts America's transportation. It hurts America's economy.
What the fuck
And the
do you know
question
about
is
America?
this about
you
DEI? Are you not hiring the best people? Are you hiring the most diverse
All
people?
right, have a
We
good
already
one.
saw what it's done to the White House. They went out over the top with diversity. They hired a bunch of people that don't even like Joe Biden. They're protesting him. Is that causing quality problems here?
None other than the intellectual powerhouse and beacon of the traditional masculinity Republican voters are obsessed with host Brian Kilmeade when he's not playing catch with Ron DeSantis or licking Dana White's boots clean. Kilmeade toes the line between MAGA and mainstream conservatism better than many of his other co-hosts, which not only makes Tyrus's assertion that much more laughable, but also makes Kilmeade an incredibly effective communicator of far-right policy positions, especially when it comes to culture war issues.
Is a shameless compilation of misstatements, misrepresentations of the American past. Like any other historian, I'm in favor of teaching African American history, but I would like to see it taught accurately and well. This book is mainly aimed at provoking more or less despair on the part of African Americans and guilt on the part of white Americans.
Slavery horrendous, but it was on every continent in the world. Segregation.
This is the nonstop crap that they yak at. It's just, I can't even listen to it. I really can't. It's just, it's so dense. It's so fucking stupid. Just dumb. Oh, good Lord. Well, if everybody's gone. Star, am I, well, you know what? Here, let's, hold on. I can't. I want to.
Using this type of construction. So pretty cool to have that here in Lafayette. This is a little bit of a summary of what I just talked about, really touching on the environmental aspects. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically wood has less embodied carbon and it has more stored carbon than steel or concrete, making it inherently a better material to use for the environment.
What the fuck?
I want to talk a bit about the streetscape and the facade details of our building.
Ugh,
We talked about
those are
this with the
ugly.
Planning Commission quite a bit.
They-
We're using, I don't know if we have the samples.
They're definitely turning Lafayette into fucking another Boulder with these fucking stupid. No, nobody's here. So I don't care. Now I'm depressed. I'll see you guys later.